Ladies and gentlemen, beloved ones, you didn't come here by accident. No, you didn't just stumble upon this moment. You were meant to hear this today. There's a reason your heart is beating a little faster right now. Because deep inside you know, there's more. There's so much more to this life than what you've tasted. Oh yes, I feel it if you've been weary. You've been wondering if the light will ever break through the clouds. But listen to me. There are habits, holy rhythms, that carry the power to change your life. Not overnight, not in a flash of magic, but step by step, breath by breath, decision by decision. And I want to share with you today, not 7 rules, not 7 chores, but 7 habits that make your life better. Because they awaken your soul. They stir the fire that's been sleeping inside you. Habit 1: start with stillness. Habit 2: speak life. Habit 3: choose discipline over drama. Habit 4: love without conditions. Habit 5: stay grateful in the middle. In a world constantly spinning faster, where our days are filled with noise, notifications, and non-stop demands, the soul begins to starve, not from lack of activity, but from the absence of stillness. The most powerful transformations don't come from striving harder or doing more. They begin in silence. They begin when you step away from the chaos and lean into the quiet. This isn't about laziness or idleness. This is about creating sacred space where your spirit can breathe again, where your heart can realign with what truly matters. Stillness is not just the absence of movement. It's the presence of awareness. It's where you remember who you are beneath the layers of expectation, pressure, and performance. It's where you reconnect with your creator, with your purpose, and with the sound of your own soul. So many of us are searching for answers in the noise, but the answers never come from noise. They come from deep within, and you can only hear them when you become still enough to listen. There is something holy about the early morning before the world wakes up, something sacred in the pause between one task and the next. If you begin your day with noise, your spirit will be chasing peace all day long. But if you begin with stillness, peace becomes the foundation. You will carry it into every conversation, every conflict, every unknown moment. Stillness strengthens your inner world so that the outer world no longer controls your emotions. When you develop the habit of stillness, you start to live intentionally. You stop reacting to life, and you start responding with wisdom. You stop being pulled in 1,000 directions, and you start being led by a deeper compass. The world wants to fill every empty space, but your power is found in the spaces you protect. The moments where you sit, breathe, reflect. The minutes where you resist the urge to reach for your phone and instead reach for silence. This isn't easy. The habit of stillness takes discipline. It takes courage. Because when you get quiet, everything you've been avoiding rises to the surface. But that's where healing begins. That's where truth speaks. And that's where direction comes, not through hustle but through presence. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And you cannot fill that cup in the middle of noise. Stillness is the place where you are refilled, renewed, and reawakened. Most people are afraid of silence because they associate it with loneliness. But real stillness isn't loneliness. It's intimacy. Intimacy with your thoughts, your emotions, your values. Intimacy with the one who knows you better than you know yourself. And in that stillness, something happens. Your fears begin to quiet. Your anxiety begins to shrink. Your joy, which had been buried under layers of exhaustion, begins to rise again. You don't need a retreat in the mountains or hours of uninterrupted solitude. You need just a few sacred minutes each day. Moments where you turn down the volume of the world and turn inward. Whether it's at dawn with a warm cup in your hand, or at night as you lay in silence, letting the noise settle. These moments will shape you more than any outward achievement ever will. Stillness reminds you that you are not defined by your productivity. You are not measured by your output. You are not valuable because of how much you do, but because of who you are. And you can only remember that when you stop long enough to feel it. There's a reason why so many wise people throughout history, spiritual leaders, artists, visionaries, protected their stillness because they knew what it unlocked. Creativity, clarity, strength. Words are more powerful than we can imagine. They don't just describe reality, they shape it. Every word you speak carries weight. It carries energy. It either lifts or lowers, builds or breaks, heals or harms. Many people go through life speaking carelessly, unaware that what they're saying is creating the atmosphere they live in. If you speak defeat, you live in defeat. If you speak hope, you begin to attract light. There is a quiet authority in the tongue, and those who learn to speak life walk in a strength that others can feel. When you speak life, you're not denying the reality of challenges, you're choosing to see beyond them. You're calling things as they can be, not just as they are. It's not pretending, it's prophesying. You're declaring a better outcome, you're planting seeds with your voice. And over time, those seeds take root. Your words shape your mindset. Your mindset shapes your decisions. And your decisions shape your future. Every time you speak, you're sowing. The question is, what are you growing? There is a temptation in difficult seasons to let your words become bitter, cynical, sharp. Pain wants to be echoed. Anger wants to be justified. But when you let those emotions guide your speech, you reinforce the very chains you're trying to break. Speaking life doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means refusing to let pain have the final say. It's choosing to say, this hurts, but it won't define me. It's saying, I may be down, but I'm not done. When you speak like that, heaven leans in. Speaking life also transforms the people around you. There are people walking through battles you can't see, and one word from you could change their entire day, maybe even their direction. A kind word, a sincere compliment, a reminder of someone's worth. It may seem small to you, but it could be the lifeline they didn't know they needed. Don't underestimate the power of your encouragement. Don't withhold it. Words cost nothing to give but can be priceless to receive. The habit of speaking life begins in your mind. Before you can speak well to others, you must learn to speak well to yourself. What do you tell yourself when no one else is around? Are your inner words full of shame, fear, failure? Or are they filled with grace, strength, purpose? The way you speak to yourself becomes the script you live by. If you constantly say, I can't, you won't. But if you begin to say, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting stronger, everything begins to shift. We live in a culture that celebrates sarcasm, gossip, and negativity. It's easy to join the crowd. It's easy to complain. But it takes courage to speak life when everyone else is speaking death. It takes vision to declare beauty when all you see is brokenness. And it takes faith to say, something good is coming, even when nothing looks good. That's what separates those who live in light from those who live in shadows. Not circumstances, but confessions. Make it your daily practice to bless your life with your words. Bless your home. Bless your future. Stop cursing your days before they begin. Stop saying, I hate Mondays, and nothing ever works out. Instead, begin to say, today is filled with new mercy. Or, I am strong enough for this moment. Even in silence, your words matter. The thoughts you rehearse eventually escape through your mouth. And what you repeat becomes what you believe. Choose words that remind you of who you truly are. Choose words that pull you forward, not hold you back. Choose words that give life, even when you're still waiting to feel alive. There comes a point in every life where the choice must be made between discipline and drama. One leads to strength, the other to cycles. One produces steady growth, the other drains your energy. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't ask for applause, it's quiet. It shows up when no one is watching. It says, I may not feel like it today, but I know who I'm becoming. And that voice is louder than the excuses. That voice becomes your anchor when everything around you tries to pull you into chaos. Drama will always try to seduce you. It will tempt you to react, to prove your point, to argue back, to chase after things that waste your time and distort your peace. But every time you choose discipline instead, you take back your power. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about controlling everything around you. It's about mastering what's within you. It doesn't mean you never feel emotion. It means your emotions don't make your decisions. Some people are addicted to drama not because they want it, but because they've never learned another rhythm. It's familiar. It feels normal to wake up in a rush, to live from crisis to crisis, to speak before thinking, to burn bridges in a moment of heat. But familiarity doesn't equal freedom. Just because it's your habit doesn't mean it's your truth. Discipline is the decision to break the pattern and build a new one, no matter how uncomfortable it feels in the beginning. Choosing discipline is choosing the long game. Drama wants a reaction now. Discipline waits for a result later. Drama screams in the moment. Discipline whispers through the storm. When you practice discipline, you don't fall apart when things go wrong. You stay steady. You don't chase every argument. You don't let small offenses steal your peace. You protect your energy like treasure and you use it wisely. You keep showing up for your commitments. You keep doing the inner work. You stop expecting life to be easy, and instead, you become stronger. This kind of strength doesn't come from talent. It doesn't come from your background or personality. It comes from decisions. Daily, unseen, often uncomfortable decisions. Discipline wakes up early. Discipline honors the boundaries it sets. Discipline learns to speak and when to stay silent. It walks away from conflict that serves no purpose. It turns down temporary pleasure in favor of long-term growth. It creates before it consumes. It listens more than it complains. You don't have to be ruled by your feelings. You don't have to be led by every impulse. You have the power to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, Is this leading me forward or is this keeping me stuck? And in that moment, you can choose again. You can choose the hard conversation over the silent grudge. You can choose the workout over the excuse. You can choose the budget over the binge. You can choose the routine over the rush. You can choose growth over comfort. It doesn't happen all at once. That's the beautiful thing about discipline. It's not about intensity. It's about intention. Every small act builds something. Even on the days when it feels like nothing is changing, something is. You're becoming someone. You're becoming the kind of person who can trust themselves, who doesn't need validation from chaos, who can be calm in the storm because they've practiced it in private. Drama will always be loud, always available, always ready to distract you. But discipline will quietly wait, waiting to be chosen, ready to change your life from the inside out. To love without conditions is one of the most courageous things a person can do. It defies logic, resists the urge to control, and chooses to give even when there's no guarantee of return. Conditional love says, I will love you if. Unconditional love says, I will love you anyway. That kind of love is rare because it's costly. It requires us to let go of pride, to release the need to be right, to hold space for others even when they disappoint us. It is not soft or passive. It is fierce, strong, and deliberate. Loving without conditions does not mean tolerating abuse or staying silent in the face of injustice. It means you see the humanity in someone even when their actions are broken. It means you love people enough to tell them the truth without shaming them. It means you extend grace not because they earned it, but because you understand how much grace you've needed yourself. This kind of love is not built on performance. It's rooted in worth. It recognizes that every person has value, even when their behavior doesn't reflect it. When you make it a habit to love without conditions, you free yourself from the burden of managing others' behavior. You stop needing people to meet your expectations in order to feel at peace. You stop trying to fix people to make yourself more comfortable. You begin to love from a place of overflow, not obligation. And in that overflow, others feel seen. They feel safe. They begin to soften, not because you demanded it, but because your love made room for it. Unconditional love is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. It's easy to walk away when someone fails. It's easy to love when everything feels good and aligned. But when someone hurts you, when they disappoint you, when they let you down, can you still choose love? Can you still wish them well? Can you release the bitterness that wants to build a home in your heart? These are not light questions. They are deep waters, but they are the waters where healing begins. To love without conditions, you must also love yourself the same way. You cannot give to others what you refuse to give to yourself. Many people are harsh with others because they are harsh with themselves. They hold others to standards they don't even survive under. But when you begin to speak kindly to yourself, when you forgive your own failures, when you hold your own heart with gentleness, something begins to change. That same compassion flows outward. You stop judging so quickly. You stop expecting perfection. You begin to see people as they are. Not projects to fix, but souls to honor. This kind of love transforms relationships. It brings freedom where there used to be control. It brings peace where there used to be tension. It opens doors where walls used to stand. People flourish under the warmth of acceptance. They rise under the light of grace. Not because they're being manipulated or coerced, but because they feel safe enough to be real. Unconditional love is the soil where authenticity grows. It takes practice. It takes patience. There will be days you want to shut down, moments when loving someone feels impossible. But that's when love becomes a choice, not just a feeling. Feelings are fleeting. They change with circumstances. But love, true love, transcends mood. It remembers that people are more than their worst moments. It believes in redemption. It fights for connection, not just convenience. The habit of loving without conditions is not something you master overnight. It is learned over time, through failure and forgiveness, through humility and surrender. It's not a path of ease, but it's a path of power. Because when you choose to love without expecting anything in return, you begin to live free. You stop being controlled by resentment. You stop being defined by rejection. You start becoming a vessel for healing in a world that's desperate for real love. A gratitude is not just something you feel when life is going well. It's something you choose, especially when it's not. The habit of staying grateful in the middle is what separates those who grow from those who get stuck. Anyone can be thankful when the miracle has come, when the breakthrough has arrived, when everything is falling into place. But there is a deeper, stronger kind of gratitude. The kind that rises when the answers haven't come, when the way isn't clear, when you're still walking through the unknown. Gratitude in the middle is an act of faith. It says, I don't see the full picture yet, but I trust there's purpose in this process. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. It teaches you to see beauty in the in-between, strength in the waiting, and growth in the tension. It doesn't ignore the struggle, but it refuses to let struggle steal the song. Gratitude is your anchor when everything else feels unsteady. It grounds you in the truth that even now, even here, there is something to honor. There are lessons that only come in the middle. The middle is where character is built, where endurance is tested, where faith is refined. And if you only hold gratitude for the mountaintops, you'll miss the treasures hidden in the valley. The middle teaches you to appreciate breath in your lungs, the kindness of a stranger, the quiet strength it takes to keep going when it would be easier to quit. These are not small things. They are the foundation stones of a life rooted in perspective. Staying grateful in the middle changes the atmosphere around you. It lifts your spirit. It sharpens your vision. It makes you harder to offend and slower to complain. When others are consumed with what they lack, you begin to see what you already have. And from that awareness, joy begins to grow. Not because everything is perfect, but because your heart is awake, awake to the gifts hidden in plain sight, awake to the miracle of ordinary moments. Gratitude is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers through tears. Sometimes it looks like saying, I don't understand this season, but I'm thankful for the strength to face it. Sometimes it looks like smiling through uncertainty, serving while you're still healing, or giving encouragement while you're still waiting for your own. Gratitude doesn't require everything to be right. It simply requires your attention. What you focus on grows. When you focus on what's working, what's beautiful, what's true, your soul begins to shift. Gratitude is also a form of resistance. In a culture driven by comparison and scarcity, choosing to be thankful is revolutionary. It silences envy. It weakens fear. It makes room for peace. The world says you'll be happy out when you get more, when life gets easier, when the dream becomes real. But gratitude says, you can be joyful now. Not because everything has arrived, but because you're present enough to see what's already here. The practice of staying grateful in the middle isn't about pretending. It's about perspective. You don't have to deny the hard parts of life to find something good. They can exist side by side. Grief and gratitude, uncertainty and peace, disappointment and hope. The heart is wide enough to hold all of it. And when you let thankfulness breathe inside of pain, it begins to soften it. It doesn't always change your circumstances, but it changes you within them. This habit rewires your thoughts. It interrupts negativity. It reminds you that life is not just about outcomes. It's about the moments in between. The pauses, the prayers, the quiet wins that no one else sees. Staying grateful in the middle teaches you to live fully now. Not in the someday, not in the maybe, but in the miracle of this moment. The people you surround yourself with are shaping your future more than you realize. Your habits, your mindset, your energy, all are being influenced by the company you keep. If you walk with the wise, you grow wiser. If you walk with the cynical, the small-minded, the constantly offended, it won't be long before you carry their weight. You are never meant to carry what doesn't belong to you, but proximity has power. What's around you will eventually get you. This is why you must be intentional about your circle. Relationships are either draining or pouring into you. They either stir up your purpose or suffocate it. They either stretch your thinking or shrink your confidence. Not everyone deserves access to the most vulnerable parts of you. Just because someone has been in your life a long time doesn't mean they should have a front row seat in your present. Loyalty is beautiful, but blind loyalty is dangerous. Sometimes, honoring the future God has for you means letting go of relationships that no longer align with where you're called to go. Pay attention to the conversations you're having. Are they filled with vision, purpose, truth? Or are they laced with gossip, fear, and complaint? Are you being challenged to grow or enabled to stay small? Do the people around you celebrate your wins or secretly resent them? You can love someone deeply and still recognize that they're not meant to walk with you in every season. Some connections were meant to be temporary, not permanent. And that doesn't mean failure. That means growth. There's a sacred weight to choosing your circle. Surround yourself with people who speak life, who call out the best in you, who remind you when you forget. You need people who don't just agree with you, but who sharpen you. People who pray for you in secret. People who aren't threatened by your success and aren't amused by your struggle. People who speak truth with grace and hold you accountable with love. The quality of your relationships will shape the quality of your life. Sometimes it's not the dream that's broken, it's the environment. You can plant a healthy seed in the wrong soil, and it won't grow. The same is true for you. You may have passion, talent, and vision, but if you're constantly surrounded by people who tear down doubt or drain, your spirit will begin to wither. Choose environments where your fire is fed. Choose voices that echo your faith, not your fear. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. Protecting your circle doesn't mean isolating yourself or walking in pride. It means stewarding your energy. It means being honest about what builds you and what breaks you. It means choosing connection over convenience. You will never rise into your full potential if you are constantly shrinking to make others comfortable. And the right people won't require that of you. They'll push you higher, not pull you back. They'll see your growth not as a threat, but as an invitation to rise with you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is release what no longer serves your peace. That may look like setting boundaries. That may mean walking away in silence, not because of bitterness, but because of wisdom. Not every confrontation needs to be spoken. Some decisions are made in the quiet resolve of your spirit. You simply choose to value your peace more than you value being liked. You choose to prioritize your calling over your comfort. You choose to surround yourself with voices that breathe courage, not confusion. You are becoming like the people you talk to most. You are absorbing their language, their habits, their perspective. So choose carefully. Choose people who pull you forward, not keep you stuck. Choose those who make you feel lighter after being with them. Choose those who call out the gold inside you, even when you can't see it yourself. Peace is not something that arrives when all the chaos disappears. It is something you learn to carry within the chaos. It is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of stillness in the middle of it. You can walk through storms, face uncertainty, and stand in the middle of transition and still be anchored, not because everything is calm around you, but because you've chosen not to let the external noise govern your internal world. Inner peace is a habit, a discipline, a daily decision to align with what is eternal instead of being ruled by what is temporary. The world is loud. It will shout at you from every direction. Notifications, headlines, opinions, expectations. If you're not careful, you'll begin to live from a place of reaction instead of intention. But peace calls you back. It reminds you that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstands you. You don't have to strive for approval or prove your worth. You were not made to run in circles chasing noise. You were made to walk in clarity, in calm, in quiet power. Peace is a practice. You don't stumble into it. You create it. You choose it, even when your feelings are pulling you in the opposite direction. You pause before responding. You breathe before reacting. You guard your heart before giving it away to every passing emotion. Peace isn't passive. It's fiercely intentional. It means turning off what doesn't feed your soul. It means walking away from conversations that steal your energy. It means protecting your inner sanctuary like the treasure it is. There's a rhythm to peace, and when you learn to live in it, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You start recognizing what's yours to carry and what you need to lay down. You stop letting anxiety run your schedule. You begin choosing rest over rush. And not just physical rest, but soul rest. The kind that comes when you stop trying to be everything to everyone and start being present to the moment you're in. You begin to understand that the most powerful version of you is not the one who is busiest, loudest, or most successful, but the one who is most centered. People will try to project their unrest onto you. They'll want to pull you into their storms, their drama, their urgency. But you get to decide what you engage with. You don't have to match their energy. You can choose calm. You can choose to respond with grace instead of offense, with silence instead of noise, with stillness instead of chaos. That's not weakness. That's mastery. That's maturity. That's the fruit of someone who has decided to no longer be controlled by the atmosphere around them. When you live from peace, you become a safe place for others. You carry stability that others feel. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to dominate to lead. You begin to lead with your presence. Your peace becomes your power. And not everyone will understand that. Some will misinterpret your quiet as disinterest, your boundaries as rejection. But peace doesn't need to defend itself. It simply exists, and in its presence, everything force begins to fall away. Inner peace is not something someone else can give you. It's not a personality trait. It's not reserved for those who've had easier lives. It is a spiritual strength developed over time. It is choosing to return to the quiet when everything tries to pull you into chaos. It's waking up in the morning and choosing not to carry yesterday's weight. It's making time for silence, for reflection, for prayer, for things that slow you down enough to feel what's actually happening in your spirit. It's learning to trust what you cannot see and letting go of what you cannot control. You were not created to live in survival mode. There is a higher way of living, a way of purpose, of power, of intentional design. But to live in that way, you must take full responsibility for your choices, your patterns, your thoughts. You must stop waiting for someone to rescue you, to fix it for you, to make the path easier. No one is coming to build your dream for you. No one else can do the inner work. Growth does not happen by accident. It happens by decision. The moment you stop blaming your past, your parents, your circumstances, the economy, or the people who misunderstood you, that's the moment you begin to access true power. Personal responsibility is not about shame or guilt. It's about freedom. It's the realization that if it's up to you, then nothing can stop you. You may not control every situation, but you always control your response. And that response is shaping your future. You can't change what you won't own. You can't heal what you keep hiding. You can't grow while clinging to excuses. And excuses can sound like truth when they've been rehearsed for too long. But when you get tired of hearing your own story of limitation, you start writing a new one. One where you are no longer the victim of your life, but the author of it. Responsibility means showing up even when no one is clapping. It means doing the right thing when no one is watching. It means choosing discipline over desire, long-term reward over short-term relief. It's about waking up and asking, what kind of life am I building today? And then backing that question with action. Not just once, but over and over. Consistency doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment, but it compounds. Every small choice you make is a brick in the foundation of your future. What you tolerate today becomes your standard tomorrow. Too often, we wait to feel motivated before we act, but maturity is doing what must be done even when the feeling isn't there. Your emotions are valid, but they don't have to be in control. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel tired and still get up. You can feel uncertain and still choose to trust. Taking responsibility means you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop letting your comfort zone call the shots. You begin to lead yourself, first in secret, then in public. When you take ownership of your life, everything begins to change. You no longer wait for permission to dream, to create, to grow. You give yourself permission. You set the standard. You raise the bar. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, you'll have moments of doubt. Yes, you'll fall short at times. But each time you choose to rise, each time you take one more step, each time you refuse to settle, you become more of who you were created to be. Owning your life means taking radical inventory, looking at your habits, your words, your time, your mindset. It means asking hard questions. Is this leading me closer to who I want to become? It means cutting off what no longer serves you. It means setting boundaries with your time, your energy, your focus. It means choosing growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, responsibility over blame. And as you do, you begin to build a life that reflects your values, not your wounds. You don't have it all figured out. You just have to be honest. Honest enough to say, I want more. I was made for more. I'm willing to change. That's where it starts. Not in perfection, but in permission. The permission to rise, to break cycles, to shift the atmosphere of your own life. The habit of taking responsibility is not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about becoming someone you respect when no one's watching. It's about living in alignment with your deepest truth. And now, beloved, as we draw all these threads together, let it settle deep within your spirit. The life you desire is not a distant dream. It's being shaped by what you choose daily. These 7 habits are not rules to follow, but invitations to transformation. They whisper to the part of you that knows you were made for more. More depth, more peace, more purpose, more joy. You have been given the power to shift atmospheres, not just around you, but within you. Choose to rise early with intention. Choose to listen to what your soul is saying. Choose to be fully present, radically grateful, deeply discerning, and widely committed to your growth. Surround yourself with those who speak life. Cultivate a peace that cannot be stolen. Take responsibility for the story you're writing, because no one else can live your life for you. No one else can walk your path. It's yours, wholly unique and waiting to unfold. There will be challenges, yes. There will be delays, questions, unknowns. But if you stay the course, if you dare to build these habits not once but daily, you will become the kind of person who doesn't just survive life but lives it fully, boldly, and beautifully. This is your invitation, not to strive but to align, not to perform, to become. Let the shift begin inside you. Let these habits not just inspire you, but transform you. Let today be the day everything begins to change.